Hi, this is Ajit Nawalkha and welcome to this latest online training on Evercoach. Today, we'll be discussing the 4-level secret that you can use to create breakthrough experiences with your client. As coaches, we all know that the greatest gift that we bring to the world is to be able to create an impactful experience with our clients and be able to really transform their lives, not just in the moment, but forever. This really simple but profound secret that you're going to learn today on this class with an amazing human being. Her name is Christine Hassler, and we're going to go into that in just a moment. But before we get there, I want to do a little exercise with you so we can see how to get the maximum out of this training. Before we get started, I want you to answer a few questions for yourself. These questions will help you identify what are some of those areas that you want to focus on in this training so you can get the maximum result as you're going through this experience, as you're learning from Christine. First question I have for you is, if you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 and really go, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how powerful am I on a coaching conversation? How powerful am I when I'm trying to create an impact and a transformation with my clients? So go ahead and take the worksheet that you must have downloaded at this point and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 and see where do you find yourself in your ability to actually impact a client. Now that you've rated yourself on that, I want you to go ahead and rate yourself your ability to impact a client on an emotional level. Now go ahead and answer the next question and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on your ability to impact a client on a spiritual level. Let's go one step deeper. What is your ability on a scale of 1 to 10 on impacting a client on a behavioral level? Lastly, I want you to answer for yourself as to what you think is your ability on a scale of 1 to 10 to impact a client on a mental level. Now that we have answers to these questions, answer this for me. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel going into a coaching conversation that you will be able to create a transformation for your clients? You see, most of the coaches, when I ask these questions to them, end up rating themselves anywhere between 5 to 7. And the reason is obvious. Of course, we are a little bit self-critical as human beings, but also most coaches don't invest as much time and energy in really learning what creates true transformation. How can we impact clients really deeply, really profoundly? Now you see, as coaches, what happens is we sometimes show up in our coaching conversation without fully understanding what makes human beings work. What is it that really will create a transformation? How can you move a client from a place they are to a place that they want to be, need to be? That's why we've invited a very special human being today. Her name is Christine Hassler. We're going to introduce you to her in just a second. I first met her at an event called Association of Transformative Leaders in Lake Arrowhead. And immediately I was so impressed about the impact that she's been making out there in the world. She has coached individuals and coaches for over 15 years and has written 3 best-selling books in different areas of life. But let me tell you first how magical her impact has been on individuals that have had the opportunity to work with her. I'm sharing these experiences with you because you will be learning the same methodologies that Christine used to impact these lives today on this class. And I want you to understand how powerful it can be if you learn this methodology properly and actually implement it in your coaching practice. Firstly, I was hearing the story about this lady. Let's just call her Becky for now. And Becky came to Christine with a very difficult situation. She was in a job that she didn't like. She had kids and family that she was not really happy with, husband that she was not really happy with. And she was just feeling really drained and really unimpactful in the world and wasn't really happy with what she was really doing out there in the world. She actually had already gone through a few coaches and invested thousands of dollars with absolutely no results. And when she came to Christine, she was almost disappointed and said, Christine, I've invested so much money already in coaches. I don't know if you can do what I really need at this point. But after speaking with Christine, after seeing the impact she could create, she actually went out, took a credit on her card to pay for Christine's coaching sessions. And then Christine worked with her on the emotional level and also on the mental level that created a transformative shift in her life. The first coaching session, she wanted to quit her marriage. Now, the good story is she actually did not quit her marriage. Eventually, after the sessions she did with Christine, the thing she left was her job and established a greater career into something that she really loved. She loved writing, and she could find that passion and the power as she was working with Christine to really start that practice of becoming a writer. She fell back in love with her husband, with her family, and started to thrive in her life. This impact is not only limited to individuals that are trying to quit their jobs or anything like that. There was another individual Christine was coaching. Let's just call him Ben for now. Ben was a CEO, young CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, really successful, young, successful, passionate, but at the same point of time, extremely unhappy inside. He was somebody who was not really fulfilled. He was doing what he was doing because he wanted to prove something to his parents. He wanted to prove something to the world. He wasn't doing it because he was living in a place of fulfillment and joy. Christine had to work with Ben on all 4 levels, emotional, spiritual, mental, and behavioral, to bring about that impact that would change Ben's life. Ben, after working with Christine, could find his passion and his purpose again, started to live the life that he really wanted. Today, you're going to learn these tools so you can take these methodologies and implement it in your own coaching practice. Create that transformation that you as a coach has set out to create. So you might be thinking at this point, all right, I get it. Christine is awesome. She kicks ass, and so what? What am I gonna get out of this class? So the real reason why we are doing this class, why we brought Christine on, is because we know as coaches, you want to create greater impact. And as Evercoach, as Mind Valley, we want to help you create that impact. After this class, you will learn these 4 levels. You will know these 4 levels of impact that you need to create with your clients. You will also learn how to really start asking questions that are not just questions for the heck of asking questions, but questions that actually lead to great transformation. How to ask powerful, deep, meaningful questions so you can create a greater impact in your client's life. You will also find that confidence in you the next time you walk into a coaching conversation, even in an enrollment conversation, you can lead your client to a greater outcome. Now, I know you're getting all anxious, all excited, all pumped to get this training and learn from Christine directly. I'm not gonna take more time, but I wanna make a special note. If you haven't downloaded your workbook yet, go ahead and download it now. It's on this page, it's ready for you to download. If you've already downloaded it, make sure it's handy. The reason why I suggest that is because this training is going to add so much value if you're attentive and present in it. If it's just a training that's playing on the background, I would highly encourage that you sit down and consume this training in a way that you can actually take effective notes so you can create a true transformation in the way you coach your clients, the way you create impact with your clients. So I'm gonna give you a second, go ahead and download the workbook, make sure there are less distractions around you, and you're fully focused on what Christine is about to say. On that note, welcome, Christine.
Hello, Ajit. I'm so happy to be here.
I am so excited to be here with you today, and I'm sure everybody that is listening to this conversation right now is super excited and ready to take all the notes.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody.
Yeah. Cool. So, I told them a little bit about you, but there is so much more to your story, and I think this story is very inspiring for coaches to hear. Would you be able to share a little bit about how you got started into coaching and how do you discover all these different levels?
Sure. Well, it definitely wasn't planned. I didn't wake up one day and go, oh, I want to be a coach. And I started coaching in 2004 before life coaching was as big as it is now. So basically what happened is I had a massive expectation hangover in my early to mid 20s. And you probably haven't heard expectation hangover because I made that term up, but it's when life kind of goes according to your plan, but you're still not happy. So I was at 24 years old. I had an awesome job. I was working in Hollywood. I was an agent. To be that young of an agent is kind of unheard of, but I was very ambitious. My insecurities that came from my childhood made me very ambitious as an adult. And what better place than LA to go and try to prove yourself to the world, right? It's like the popular crowd. And by 24, 25, I was making a lot of money. I was dating a big Hollywood film producer. I was going to the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and I had the life. And I finally checked everything off the list that I thought would make me happy. You see, back then I was a very externally referenced person. I think a lot of us are until we start to realize that fulfillment doesn't lie outside of us. But I lived in when-thens. When I get promoted, then I'll be happy. When I date this guy, then I'll finally feel confident. When I lose 5 pounds, then I'll, whatever. It was always when-thens. And when I would achieve things, I would celebrate maybe for a second. But then it was, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And the bar was always raised. And what really drove me was both the insecurity and just being really hard on myself. I had a really bad relationship with myself. I was my own worst critic. And so finally one day I'm riding up in the elevator to work, and I had my first ever what kind of felt like kind of a mini panic attack of just, I could not deny that what I was doing with my life did not feel right. And I decided that maybe I should quit. And it wasn't like I walked in and quit that day. Back then I used to just a decision was torture for me. I'd weigh every option. And finally I got to the point where I was ready to leave. And I quit my job and thought that just pursuing another career would fix it all. So I was always passionate about health and fitness, went into that, became a personal trainer. But the same kind of lack of fulfillment and insecurity, and honestly a little depression and anxiety that was there at my old job came with me. In fact, it got worse because without my fancy expense account, I went into tons of debt. I wasn't making as much money. I didn't feel as powerful as a personal trainer as I did as an agent. I felt like that was like a job to be proud of. And then things just kind of gradually got worse. So I had the debt. I got more depressed because I wasn't fulfilled with what I did. I had a big blowout with my family, so things were rocky there. My health was really suffering. No one could figure out what was wrong with me. And then I got engaged and thought, oh, okay, well maybe I'm transitioning into being a wife. But then 6 months before my wedding, my fiance broke up with me. So I kind of lost everything I was clinging to for safety, security, identity, my job, my money, my health, my family, love. And I had a quarter life crisis. I thought I invented the term, but it had been around for a while. And I went to the bookstore to try to find a book that helped me. I read the book, Quarter Life Crisis, great book, but it was kind of more about fixing the outside. So I thought, maybe I'll start to kind of write about my experience, because this was my first big aha moment. I really was in victim thinking. Oh, poor me. I'm in debt. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, my fiance dumped me. And it's important to honor our feelings. But I was really in victim, and I was living in the consciousness of, why did this happen to me? And luckily, I'd been working with my coach for about 4 years at the time. And she had taught me to ask the question, why is this happening for me? What am I really learning? And this is going to be obvious to everyone watching, but it was an aha moment to me. The common denominator in all of those situations, me. Mm-hmm. So maybe I had something to do with it. And if I could create all that, maybe I could create something differently. So that's when I just got super passionate about personal growth. I had met my first coach, Mona, when I was 21. But I was kind of I had a lot of awareness, but wasn't really integrating it. She was super powerful, but I'd kind of take what she said and apply what was comfortable. Mm-hmm. But then when I had my quarter life crisis, I was like, all right, it's time. And I studied with her, and I studied NLP, and I went to Landmark Forum, and I just read every self-help book and went to every training and just became fascinated with personal development and just how much power we have. And that also inspired writing my first book, 20-something, 20 Everything. And as I was writing that book, people would say to me, can I set up a session with you? Because I interviewed other 20-something women for the book, wanting to know their experience. And I'd say why. I got all my questions answered. And they said, well, aren't you a coach or a counselor or something? They usually say counselor, because like I said, coach wasn't around at the time. And I said, no. And about 4 or 5 people said to me, you should be. And even when I was a personal trainer, people enjoyed talking to me more than they enjoyed the workout. And so I just started to realize that I had a knack for asking questions and talking to people. So I went to my coach, Mona, and I said, I think I want to do this. And she said, yep, it's time. So that's how it all began.
That's interesting. That's fascinating. So you stumbled into coaching in a way, trying to find the answer for yourself.
I did. And I really so when I was 11, I was diagnosed with depression and put on Prozac and started seeing psychiatrists. So I formed a story, there's something wrong with me. And I could look at that as, oh, poor me, blah, blah. Or I'm like, wow, I kind of started studying myself at 11. That's cool, right? I started learning about mental health at an early age. Awesome. But when I sat with Mona, my first coach, something was different than traditional therapy. And it just felt so empowering. And my experience of her, the way she was able to hold a space of unconditional love and the way she was able to ask questions and teach me things in a way of never making me feel broken. It was so transformational that I wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to do that with people because it was so life-changing for me.
Yeah. And I know this is how you got started, but you didn't stop there, because I know you've been on this constant journey of finding new ways to work with clients and really impacting their lives in so many different ways. Why don't you tell a little bit about that for the listeners, so they also know that it's, yes, they might be at that stage, but how the journey continues.
Oh, the journey always continues. Like I said, I started coaching people in 2004. I still have a coach. I will always have a coach. So I always want to be my own best client, and I always want to have a coach that's even further ahead than I am, right? So you're never there in your training. And I think that we always want to continue to up level. And one very distinct thing that I chose to do about 2 years after I started coaching was, I really wanted to be able to feel comfortable helping people with their past. And I really wanted to be able to help people on multiple levels. And something I learned from Mona and all the different seminars I did is that we're not just these one-dimensional beings. We don't just have a mind. We don't just have actions and behavior. We don't just have emotions. And we aren't just this kind of like spiritual being either. We're all of these things. And that's when I started to really become interested and committed to a very holistic approach to healing and transformation. And found that working for myself on the emotional, mental, behavior, and spiritual level was a necessity. So like a big thing for me was getting off antidepressants when I was 29. It took me about a year, 29 to 30, 31, something like that. And I had to work on all those levels. And a big part of what helped me was going and getting my master's degree in spiritual psychology from the University of Santa Monica, where I spent 2 years really studying all of these levels and learning how, in order for transformation to truly occur, we have to look at ourselves and our clients holistically. We can't just work on one level and expect transformational results.
That is so true. And you worked with so many clients too. I know recently you finished your 100th episode even on your podcast, which is just you coaching on a podcast. It's not even like clients. These are like people just saying, I want a coaching session with you, and you coach them on a podcast live, right?
So when I first started out, I niched. I just worked with 20-somethings because Mona, my coach, was like, coach what you know. Don't be coaching 45-year-old moms. Like you, that's not an experience you can relate to. Coach what you know. So my first book was called 20-something, 20 everything, and it was for women in their 20s. And that's why I coached women in their 20s. And there are a lot of women in their 20s who needed coaching. And I had more of a therapy model because that's all I knew. I had more the kind of time for money model where people came in. And I did that for years. And I'm glad I did it that way because it made me masterful. Like I got my 10,000 hours in. And I really had, I don't even know how many clients I'd have in a week. It was quite a lot. And I did that for a good 7 years probably, just really client after client getting better and better. And then it grew. I was also doing keynote speaking. I was also teaching retreats and workshops. I was doing more group stuff. So, but that time of just coaching person after person while still getting coached, while still getting trained was incredibly valuable. And it's one of the many reasons I'm so passionate about doing this course is because what took me, 8 years of learning from person to person and tons of my own training and getting coached, like I was able to really hone it down to like what works best for people. And so now what my life looks like, what my business looks like now is I work with just a few people at a high level. I train other coaches. I do a lot of keynote speaking, which is so fun to do. We can talk about how that happened too. And one thing that is really cool in my keynote speaking is I thought, it's so interesting how we think we need to be successful. Sometimes we model ourselves after other people instead of really staying in our zone of genius. So 2 years ago, I met one of my mentors. Her name's Connie Podesta. And she was watching some of my keynotes. And she's like, why are you not coaching people in your keynotes? That's your zone of genius. And I'm like, you can't coach people in a keynote. You need a PowerPoint. You need to just give information. She's like, no, you don't. So I ditched my PowerPoints, all my PowerPoints from my keynotes, got a handheld mic, and obviously speak, but I bring people up on stage. I go in the audience. I do coaching in my keynotes. Even if it's 3,000 people, even if it's super corporate, I'll bring that element in. So coaching has infiltrated every aspect of my life and my business because I know how incredibly powerful it is.
It is, and it's so powerful to have a coach like you sitting next to me, educating and working with all our listeners here to really be able to go and zoom out and see what's possible.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many paradigms that you just broke there about, can you coach 20-somethings? I know people would have like, well, can you actually do that? Well, you did for 7 years. Can you actually just keynote where you're actually coaching? Putting out your best stuff is, if you're a coach, is when you coach, right? And being able to just do that. So I'm super grateful that you're sharing all this with us right now, because it puts everybody into that state of saying, hey, my reality of what I think is the only way to do it is just like broken right here. Mine is, and I've done so many of these interviews and conversations, and I'm feeling, wow, I've never thought of it that way. That is so powerful, and so much easier for a coach to do is to just be a really good coach.
Yep, just be a really, really good coach. And I think that's the distinction, because there are so many times where I thought, maybe I should take this online marketing class, or maybe if I learn how to build funnels, or da-da-da-da-da. And the thing that has helped me build my business and just be so personally fulfilled more than anything else is just getting really good at what I do and loving it. And loving it, and not good from the place of like, let me be hard on myself and let me push and let me be the best, but from a place of pure passion. You know, the more passionate you are about something, the more you want to learn, the more you want to get better at it. You know, and a big test for me was launching this podcast where I coach people live on the air. It's like, can I create transformation for someone in 20 minutes, knowing nothing about them before I start? And that was another kind of paradigm shifter, because I grew up listening to Dr. Laura. I don't know if people know who that is, but she was an online advice host. And she would have callers in, 10, 15 minutes. She was a little more of the tough love approach. And I always dreamed of that. And I was kind of like waiting, to be discovered for someone to give me a talk show. And then it was like, wait, why don't I just create this? Like, there's got to be a way logistically to do this. And I had no idea that it would take off like it has. And it's been so awesome to be able to connect with so many people all over the world. And this is the other thing, too, about coaching that I think is valuable for everybody watching. People love this stuff. People really love life coaching. Like, the fact that this podcast has attracted so many listeners who want to listen to somebody be coached just shows that there's such a thirst and such a market. So another like belief to bust is, oh, there's already enough life coaches, and what do I have to offer? There are billions of people in the world who are so hungry for this kind of transformational work.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and thank you for that as well. Now let's give them a little bit of tools as well, because I know they are getting all on the edge of the seat saying, I want to learn what Christine does, and I want to see what she's doing right now out there in the world, creating all these transformations. What are those basic principles, or at least some introduction to those principles, so they can at least get started? So let's take all our listeners through that journey of actually, not the journey, but actually the structure of how you have been able to create these transformations with these clients. Some basic outline of that so they can get started on that process. So why don't you walk us through what you call the 4 levels?
Yeah, well, it's a very holistic approach to coaching. And again, this is based on everything that I learned as a client and as a student about how as human beings we transform. And like I said, we have to look at ourselves holistically. We have to look at the fact that we have emotions. And I think a lot of times in coaching, there may be a tendency to just go to the mental level, just go to the behavioral level. Let's just change our belief systems, let's just change our actions. But a lot of times, if there's repressed or suppressed emotions there, that's going to manifest in other ways. And it's going to be very hard for your client to achieve results if you can't create the space for them to really deal on the emotional level. And this is one thing that's a little bit tricky, because people say, oh, well, the distinction between coaching and therapy is therapy deals with feelings in the past and coaching just deals with like goals in the present. And that might have been true years ago, but I think modern day coaching creates a space where we realize that we have to, out of integrity, be able to hold a space for a client to be emotional. Now, we want to help them move out of their past. We want to help them transform their past and heal their past so that we can create shifts in the present and in the future. So that's the first level, the emotional level. And then we've got the mental level. This is all about our belief systems and the story that we create, and really understanding that only 3 to 5% of our behavior is actually consciously driven. The rest, that leaves a good 95% that comes from the unconscious. So a great thing that a coach can do is really help clients start to illuminate their unconscious belief systems. That behavior or those thoughts that are driving them to do things that are patterns and habits, and how we shift those. And then there's the behavioral level. This is straight up action. And again, a lot of our behavior is reactive versus responsive. You know, we react based on old wounds, old belief systems, out of fear. We don't take action because of anxiety or self-doubt or, again, fear. So really helping clients understand how to take action from a different place, and how to take action from more of a toward motivation than away from motivation. Usually people take action because they want to get away from something they don't like. And in coaching, we help shift that paradigm so we move them toward a vision, toward their goals, so their behavior is more intrinsically motivated than extrinsically driven. And then finally, we have the spiritual level. And this has nothing to do with religion. This is really about opening up to, I think, the truth that we're more than just these bodies, that there is some universal force, higher power, God, divine, source, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter, but that there is this place of unconditional love and support and magic that we can all tap into. We've all had experiences of that. You're thinking of someone and they call you, or something just that's tremendously synchronicitous happens in your life, or all of a sudden like a moment of grace hits, and knowing that we're really spiritual beings having a human experience.
So I understood like the whole 4 levels and what those 4 levels are, but while you were explaining the levels, I was getting curious. Okay, how do I know while I'm working with a client, what are the signs I'm looking for to know what are the different levels that this person may be challenged in or suffering from, or should be the areas that I might want to probe more to really understand what's the area to really work on?
Well, it does take practice, right? It takes practice. Obviously, for me, after doing this as long as I have, it comes fairly easily. I'm able to recognize it. But when I was first starting, some great indicators were, if I notice, and this is why being so present as a coach is so important. So often coaches go in with all their tools and their notebook and their structure, and we're going to do this, and this. And to me, the art of coaching isn't that. It's really being present. It's creating a really safe space and being really curious and asking a lot of questions. So you sort of know with how a client deflects. Like, what do they kind of talk about but then move away from? Or they start talking about it and then maybe their voice cracks or their eyes well up. If you're noticing some deflection or any kind of physical way that they try to like hold back, that's a good sign that there's some emotional repression happening there. Because the biggest way that we avoid emotions is we resist them by deflecting. Like, I don't want, let's talk about this. Or we start talking about something and we stop, or we look away, or eyes well up, and then change the subject. So when that happens with a client, that's an indicator to you that they're avoiding something. And it's usually an old hurt, an old wound. And so many people feel completely uncomfortable with expressing emotion. They don't really want to be seen as weak. They don't want to be seen crying, or they don't want to be seen as, quote, out of control. And so part of the opportunity in working on the emotional level is really making it okay for your client to be seen and really emote.
That's amazing. That's for how to kind of see for emotions.
Yes.
How do we see for...
So for on the mental level, the key thing is really listening to their story. It's amazing how convinced people are that their story is accurate. So let's say that you have a client who's coming to you for relationship coaching. And it's like, yeah, I just don't know why. You just can't trust men. You know, you just can't trust men. It's every guy I've ever been with is cheated on. So like, I just need to know how to find a man I can trust. So obviously there's a story there, because not every man is a cheater, and you can trust men, right? But for whatever reason, there's a belief, there's an old story there that has become a thought, that has become a program. So you just want to be really keen on listening to what are they believing? Like, what are they saying to you that they really think is so true, that absolutely isn't true at all. So that's a key indicator that we're working on the mental level. Or when there's a lot of negative thoughts present, there's a lot of when then thinking, that's when you're going to have some great work with the horseback rider technique and the storyboard technique and all those things that we do to work on the mental level. And then on the behavioral level, if I think we've heard the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So if your client comes and talks about how they're doing this and they don't get the result, and then this and they don't get the result, and then this and they don't get the result, okay, so there's work to do on the behavioral level. Or if they're talking about they feel tired, they feel depleted, there's no me time for them. If they're really talking about kind of the more day-to-day aspects of their life, there's work to do on changing action. Or if they're talking about how they don't feel heard, they don't feel understood, they don't have good boundaries. That has to do with how they're communicating and how they're taking action on that level. And then on the spiritual level, there's a couple key indicators. If there's a lot of fear present, like a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety, usually people with tons of fear and tons of anxiety don't feel connected to something deeper. They don't feel connected to their own intuition and inner wisdom, because I think connecting to our own inner knowing is spiritual. Because we're connecting to ourselves on a soul level, on that inner level. And then obviously they don't feel supported by anything bigger than themselves. And also, like, if they're incredibly controlling, like plan every aspect of my life. I have to, like, it's all done according to me, and like I can't trust anybody. Another indicator that there may be an opportunity to kind of lean into faith. The spiritual level is also wonderful to work on with someone who's had a really tough life. Because some people have had tremendous trauma and really hard childhoods and things like that. And shifting to look at it at a spiritual level in terms of, okay, if we take out good, bad, right, or wrong, because on the spiritual level there's no judgment, and we really look at, why did your soul choose this life? Why did these things happen to you in terms of the lessons that you could learn? And how do we really see those lessons as part of your dharma, as part of your purpose? Like, you're not a victim here. How can we transform this so that you can actually use this to serve people? Not necessarily as a career, but become a different kind of parent or a different kind of spouse or whatever it may be. So on the spiritual level, that's when we look for miracles. When a client really needs a change in perception, often it's working there that does it.
Wow, that is amazing. That is so helpful, just to be able to kind of see, okay, what could be some of the ways to kind of gauge which level to really work with the client.
Yeah.
It's just to have that little dial to kind of know. Of course, there's a wide range to really listen
so many,
into.
yeah. And every person's
really
different.
Every person's different, and there's a whole toolkit that we've created for that. But for now, at least for the people who are listening, it's so much easier to kind of go, okay, that might be what we are working with, at least for now, right? So that's amazing. I want to dive deeper into one of the things that you mentioned when we were talking about the emotional level, which is the ability to listen and be able to ask really good questions, right? Really, really powerful questions. I know questions is one of the greater tools that you have as a coach, and that's one of the tools that we talk about in Unleash, the program we'll be talking about later today, is how to be able to ask really good questions. And often coaches kind of like get lost in that phase. Everybody knows, ask powerful questions, but they kind of go, what does that mean? Or how do I really do that? So if you could help us distinguish firstly, what is a powerful question? And what are the different types of questions? So the people who are listening kind of can go, okay, how do I even go about doing this?
Sure. And just sharing personally, one of my misunderstandings about what it took to be a great coach was thinking I had to have all the answers, and thinking that giving great advice was going to create the best transformation for my clients and was going to make me a great coach, to have these amazing things to say, like those inspirational quotes we see on Instagram. And that is not what I've learned makes a really transformational coach. It's asking questions that get the client to go, I never thought about it that way, or that's a really good question. And these are not questions we can script. You can't have like your list of top 10 powerful questions. But what you can do is listen so closely to your client in terms of what they're saying, even reflecting back to them. So I just heard you say XYZ. Do you mean that? Is that really true? And by asking that kind of just very simple question, what it does is it interrupts a thought pattern in the client's brain, right? Because the more we just talk at them or give them advice, the more their story train continues. But asking a powerful question kind of goes, it's like a record scratch in the client's thinking, because they have to shift from telling to actually thinking and being curious themselves. So the way we model curiosity for our clients by asking these powerful questions, because the more curious they can get, the less judgmental they can get. And that's key. You want to model for your client both the curiosity and a space of non-judgment, because most people, we're all very critical of ourselves. So it's in asking these powerful questions, these open-ended questions, that make the client go, never thought of it like that. Or, I don't really know. And one of my favorite responses to I don't really know is, well, if you did know, what do you think it would be? And 100% of the time, 100% of the time they come up with something.
Wow. And this is such an easy question to have in the toolkit, like right there, that I'm hoping that you've captured that question.
Yeah.
But you kind of touched upon it. I want to go like one step deeper into it. You said something like not to ask close-ended questions.
Right.
What are the close-ended questions?
The close-ended questions are yes or no. Like, did you enjoy that experience or not? Did you like that? Yes or no? Versus, tell me about why that one time you got to speak in front of your team was so awesome. What did it feel like? Tell me more about that. Very different than, well, did you enjoy that experience? You can't go very far with that.
Yeah.
And so it's asking the questions that don't just have a yes or a no or a simple answer, that draw out and get the client to describe more, to feel more. Because the more you can ask a question that gives the opportunity for a client to not just tell you something, but feel it. Like, take me back to that time where you were in front of your team and you felt really confident. What was that like? What were you thinking? What was going on? And have them paint you pictures, because that's going to help you with two things. One, you're going to get into their model of the world a little differently, and you're going to help them achieve state changes by taking them back to experiences, positive or negative. But that's how you create that rapport with your clients. That's how you get them kind of out of their head and into their feeling, which is where we need to get our clients if we want to have transformation with them.
I'm really curious about asking these powerful questions, and you're kind of unraveling the mystery of the powerful question very powerfully here. Powerful question, really powerfully here, where you're going, okay, so if I was to ask, if I was learning this methodology from you, I already now understand, okay, to not ask close-ended questions, yes, no type of questions, but ask more open-ended kind of questions. What am I listening for when I'm having a conversation with a client, or when I'm coaching or leading a client, as to what am I listening for so I can ask that open-ended question? You're listening
and watching for a few things. Like, if you notice that there's emotion that comes up when they're talking about something, I noticed that there was a little emotion that came up for you around talking about that. Can you tell me more about how you're feeling? And don't be afraid to interrupt your clients. Like, definitely interrupt your clients with powerful questions. Because, again, you want to, one, get to know them and understand them, but two, you want to kind of break the pattern of them just talking about their story. So if you notice they kind of get a little emotional about something, or kind of go to one topic but shift, whoa, go back. What made you stop talking about that so quickly? Would you like to share more about that? Or let's go back to the whole, I can't trust men, like every guy cheats on me. Oh, tell me, what makes you think you can't trust men? What's your evidence about that? Like, getting really, when they make these kind of blanket belief statements about this is the way something is, you definitely want to ask a question. Very different than if I go, you can absolutely trust men. I have a great dad that I've been able to trust my whole life. You can trust men. That doesn't help your client. But if you ask them a question, really, I hear you say, tell me why. What makes you believe that?
And that gets them to explore and implore the whole idea of why they even believe something.
Yes. So anytime there's that blanket statement, or, well, if I just could, have a job I liked, then I'd be happy. Awesome. Tell me about what would be different about your life. If you had this job that you love, paint me a picture. What does it look like? So anytime they're doing a when-then statement, great time to ask a powerful question about what that looks like. because then you can help them actually create that in their life now, rather than wait for the when thens.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know we can just keep talking about this for hours at this point.
Your whole coaching session could be questions.
Yeah.
Really, truly. Like, I've definitely had coaching sessions where I've really just asked questions.
Yeah. That is so powerful, and that's just that distinction that you made, and just that distinction of close-ended and open-ended questions, and when and what to listen for to be able to actually go and explore a particular idea. I think that alone itself is extremely powerful for the listeners right now, because this idea of powerful questions has always been mystical for coaches. They've constantly circled back and said, what do you mean when you say ask a powerful question? What does it mean to be able to ask powerful questions?
Yeah, you have to be a powerful listener in order to ask powerful questions.
Which is such a powerful statement that you just close that whole conversation with by saying, listen, you're listening powerfully to be able to ask a powerful question. Thank you for that. I want to quickly summarize what we discussed as of now so you can kind of capture that moment in your workbooks and your worksheets, because it's important. Like I said previously, there's going to be a lot of great value that is going to be delivered here, and you already saw how amazing Christine was. So what we've learned today already is, in this section of the training, is the 4 levels that you could be working with your clients on: the emotional level, the spiritual level, the mental level, and the behavioral level, and how to really identify those levels, like some quick things that you can look out for, so you know what are some of those levels that your clients may be needing help in. What are some of those levels that you may want to focus on to see how and where to actually go in there and really start to work with your clients, how to identify those areas and work with your clients. And then we got into one of the most powerful tools and one of the first primary tools, which are also some of the more mystical tools, because sometimes we don't really know what it means, which is being able to ask really powerful questions. What is a powerful question? What makes for a close-ended question? What makes for an open-ended question? How to listen powerfully so you can ask powerful questions. And that is just some of the ways you can start to create tremendous impact on your client's life immediately in your sessions right away. And that's what our intent was for this class, to give you some tools that you can start to use, start to identify, start to work with, so you can bring that impact to your client's transformation. Now, as you must have already experienced, that this is such a powerful training, and you must be curious that how can you take more of these trainings and really implement in your business? How can you really take these trainings and learn all these different techniques, not just being able to ask more powerful questions, but other techniques like Christine mentioned in passing, like the horseback rider technique, or many of the techniques that are now available for you that Christine has captured over 15 years, over thousands upon thousands of coaching sessions, from working with clients that were in their 20s to clients that were much older than that, from podcasts where she shows up and starts to coach without knowing nothing about her clients previously. And after so much experience, after so much testing, finally we have been able to convince Christine to sit down for a much longer time and create a unique, a powerful course, a powerful toolkit that you can take in your business right now and start to bring tremendous impact for your clients right now. That tool is called Unleashed. Unleashed is the latest program that we've put together with the help of Christine, so you can learn the 4 levels of really impacting clients, really learn how to set up the conversation really well, to be able to have those worksheets so you don't feel like, I just have to follow Christine, but you can actually customize that to yourself, to be able to watch Christine actually coach other people on those methods, using those methodologies, using those tools, and really be able to see, okay, that is how you use that. That is how it transforms somebody's like, that is how I can listen better. That is the tool that I can bring out and use in this particular situation. You don't only get to learn the tools, but you get to learn why and when and how to utilize those tools. You get to see those tools implemented real time, so you can kind of go, okay, that's an experience that I can kind of count on. That's an example that I can look at, so I can understand the real use of this methodology here. And that gives you tremendous power as a coach to create true impact. To work with Christine, if she's available, that is, which is very rare and hard to find, is almost $20,000. This program or these kind of methodologies are learned over 6 months when you work with her. So that is why we've created this program, so you can learn the same methods, same methodologies, and really start to bring that change in your client's life. On this page, you will find a very special price because you have stayed with us through this training. You have taken the opportunity, you have taken those notes, you are willing to bring that transformation. And as you know, our intent at Mind Valley, our intent at Evercoach is to be able to impact 1 billion lives in a positive way. We see you as a channel to create that impact. We see you as a coach who's ready to bring a positive impact in lives of people around us. And Christine is joining us to help you being able to bring that change in your clients' lives. And that is why we're making Unleashed available to you at a very, very special price. Now, as you must have decided to take Unleashed, know that when you click on the button, this window will not close, and there's a reason for that. On this online training, for the customers only, we have a very special exercise towards the end. So if you are going ahead, checking out, getting your copy of Unleashed, you will get your login and everything in your email. Don't worry about it. But stay on this page because in about 10 minutes, you will see there's a special exercise that we want you to do even before you go into your membership area. I'll come right back to you while you finish your checkout process. But for the coaches who are on the edge, the coaches that are yet to decide if Unleashed is right for them, I want to ask you a question. How do you see yourself in 3 months from now impacting a client's life? How do you see yourself creating a new transformation for your clients again and again and again? What do you see yourself to have as tools, as methodologies to be able to actually create that impact and let that be the leader of creating new clients or re-enrolling clients? You see, most of the coaches think the problem with their coaching business is having enough clients or being able to enroll clients. But as any coach will tell you who have coached for several years, have had successful coaching businesses, it's usually about how well you can serve your clients, how much impact you can create with your clients. And what we want to invite you today is to take that one step forward. We have always been intentful that we want people to take action without the feeling of any risk. And there is no risk involved in you taking the decision today to take Unleashed. And the reason is this. At Evercoach, at Mind Valley, we promise you the first 30 days, your purchase is completely secure, which means that as you decide to take Unleashed, you go through the program, as you're going through exercises with Christine, as you're going through the worksheet, as you're seeing Christine in action coaching other people. If at any point you feel what I'm promising you today, what Christine's promising you today, does not fit, it's not the full promise, all you have to do is send us an email at support@evercoach.com and 100% of your investment will be refunded back to you. It is an investment that you're making in yourself, and it's fully protected by a 30-day full money back guarantee. So I want to invite you to go ahead and take this action. Make this investment in yourself to start transforming your client's life, not in an underconfident way, but in a full confidence way. Let's go in and really start to bring about that change in your client's life. You see, as you will go through Unleashed, you'll not only see and find the tools to be able to create that impact in your client's life, but you will also be able to experience why those transformations happen. You'll be able to experience and customize once you're doing the worksheets and you're learning the psychology behind things to be able to go, oh, okay, this is how I want to bring about a transformation. This is how I want to customize Christine's technique to be able to bring about a transformation. And that is even more power to you. As you're going through Unleashed, you will also experience an increase in your confidence. You will also experience how you will start to enroll clients a lot more naturally because they are experiencing transformative change with you. You will find as a coach, you will show up more powerfully, you will have more confidence, and you will have more impact with your clients. And that is what Unleashed is designed all around. It's a 10-module program, and I would love, Christine, if you could walk through what will happen in these 10 modules as our clients go through these different modules. What are they going to learn in each of these sections, and what are different tools that you put in there, some of those exercises that you put in there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much. I really took the best of the best in terms of what I've learned since 2004, both my own life experience, my own training, and just working with thousands and thousands of people at this point. But we're really going to look at becoming a masterful coach. How do you really do that so your clients keep referring you? And also so that you can keep working with clients, not because it wasn't transformational, but because they keep wanting to get to the next level with you. So we really begin with how to set up the foundations of a coaching practice, because it is a business and you want to be a business person. You want to bring a business mindset to it. What's that first session like? What's the intake process like? How do you begin a session? You don't just be like, hey, how are you? Like, great weather, right? You know, what's the way to really professionally start that session and create a safe container? We talked a lot today about making your clients feel safe. How do you do that? You don't just say, hey, you're safe here. You know, there's a process and an art to really creating a space of unconditional love and possibility for a client. How do you set the intention? How do you not have a structure or a script, but really have a start, a middle, and a finish? How do you begin the session? How do you bring it to a close so that you're staying on track and on time? How do you establish rapport with that client? What are the boundaries? What are the lines between coaching and therapy? So we cover all of that in the introduction and the foundations of really starting a coaching practice. And then we get into just some best practices, some coaching skills and techniques, like asking powerful questions, like we talked about, reflective listening, getting in the client's model of the world, all kinds of just best practices that are just foundational. And then we really get into the holistic structure, working on the emotional, mental, behavioral, and spiritual. We spend, each of those sections is a module. We spend a lot of time in each module going, okay, how do you really work with clients on the emotional level? What does that mean? What are the tools? On the emotional level, you learn something called the surfer technique. When we get to the mental level, what does that really mean? How do we work with thoughts and belief systems? And I talk a little bit about neuroscience and how we help our clients really literally reprogram and restructure their brain. And we use something called the horseback rider technique in that. And then there's the behavioral level, really working with the clients on taking different actions, not just externally, but internally as well. We don't want them just to change their external behavior. We want them to be able to shift their responses inside as well. And on that, we work with a tool called the scientist, and we teach our client how to be observers rather than judges of their life. And then we talk about the spiritual level, and I really teach you how to have a conversation about spirituality no matter what someone's religion or belief systems are, without imposing anything on them, really meeting your client where they're at and offering possibility to them in a new way of thinking while respecting their belief systems, but really holding that container of helping them consider that they are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that can be something that a lot of coaches feel insecure about, is like, how do I talk to a client about spirituality? That's such a personal thing. Don't worry. We dig into that so that you really feel comfortable with it. And I have found, as I work more on that level as a coach, you know, it's not just Christine showing up, right? There's something greater working with both me and the client. That has made me a better coach because, one, it takes some pressure off of me, takes me out of my ego more so I can really show up and be of service. And just the most magical things happen during sessions. Like, I have so many stories about that. And then we get to, again, like how to have boundaries with your clients, how to set up this structure in terms of communication and conversation. All things I wish that I would have known. I kind of created my coaching practice by just taking what I learned from other coaches and trying different things, throwing a lot of noodles against the wall and see what sticks. So you learn from all of my mistakes and things that took me 5 years, you know, you can learn in a module. And then finally, and this is the part that I think is so incredibly unique about this program. You hear me teach all this, and you have the worksheets and meditations and everything like that, but then you get to see me do it with people. So the way we set it up, we had volunteers come in. These were not clients I had worked with. These were not people that I knew. All different ages, men and women, different situations. And they came in and I did 20 to 30 minute sessions with them. And you see me coach them. And then after each session, I break down what I did. This is where I use this tool and why. This is where I use this technique and why. The client was doing this, so that's why I did this. So it's like in medical school, you learn all about anatomy, but when you actually go and get to like witness a surgery, that's a whole different ballgame, right? So you learn everything in the modules in terms of the skills and the information, but then you get to see it live in action. You get to see it experientially, and that's going to connect so many dots.
So that is so powerful, and the program's structured for you to not only theoretically learn about things, but actually be able to see Christine in action, so you can actually experience what it looks like to be able to take a client and find what level they are at, or what level to work on, and how to really navigate through using the different tools that Christine mentioned. There's so many tools inside the program. like I said, to learn all these different tools, to learn all these different techniques, to get all this experience, either costs 15 years of work or it costs thousands upon thousands of dollars. But on this page, you can experience the same training, the same level of depth, and get to experience that, really seeing it live and seeing it practiced on in real coaching sessions for just a few $100s. So I would invite you to take this opportunity on this page, because there's a very special price that is only available on this page, to go ahead and take action and actually start that transformation in your coaching business right away. Start that transformation for your clients right away. I want you to also think about what is the cost that you would be incurring if you decide not to take action. You see, at most stages of my life, I had to take two paths, like anybody has to. One is the path of saying, it's okay, however it is however it is, and I'm okay with that. And that is okay. If that is the decision that you make today, that's fine. That's okay to be in that decision. Just know that that decision leads us to be exactly where we are today. There is no progress in inaction. There is no progress or no growth when you decide to just stay where you are, stay in the place where you decide where you are right now. Whereas when you are deciding to move, when you decide to take action, when you decide to put faith in action and say, all right, if that's one opportunity that has shown up, am I willing to try it? Am I willing to go in knowing that it's risk-free and knowing that if I really utilize this, if I really practice what I've learned from somebody who's a master at that particular skill, who is a master at that particular area that I want to improve in my coaching business, then that usually creates progress. That usually creates transformation, not just for yourself and your business, but for your clients, for the people that you want to impact. And of course, that creates growth in you as an individual, and it also grows your business. So what is it that the path that you're going to take today? Are you going to go ahead and say, well, it was a great training, I got what I needed, and that was, if that's the decision, that's okay? Or will you be that person who would take a decision and say, I got this training, I know this can help me grow my business, I know this can help me grow my clients, and I'm going to take action today and actually move my coaching business, move my practice, move my clients forward in a positive direction. We want to invite you to take action today. I want to invite you to go ahead and make that investment in yourself risk-free, completely risk-free, like I've already mentioned, and go ahead and transform your life right now. Not just your life, but your client's life right now. Like I already mentioned, as Evercoach, as Mind Valley, our number one intent, the reason why we do business, or our reason for our mission, is to create positive impact in 1 billion lives. We see coaches and teachers as our supporters, as people that we want to partner with to be able to create that positive impact. We want to move together to keep moving the society forward towards a positive direction, which is why we partner with amazing coaches like Christine and teachers like Christine, who can help us move the society towards a positive direction. And that is why on this special training, we're offering a special discount. On this special training, we've invested to create this program for you. On this training, we have created something that you can take today and start to bring a positive change. Now, if there are any questions at this point that you might be kind of hesitant on, or questions that you need answers to before you made the decision, you still have about 48 hours to lock in the price that is available on this page. If you have these questions and you need to speak to somebody, just send an email to support@evercoach.com, and my team will try to get back to you as quickly as we possibly can. Like I already said, this special price is only available while you're on this training. The reason why we do that is because we believe in people who want to take action. We invest heavily in these courses, and what we want is to bring a positive change. And we know if you will make a decision today, you will bring about that change. And we want to acknowledge that. We want to reward that. We want to make that effort to say, all right, if you are willing to make that change, if you are willing to make that difference, we want to participate. We want to support that, which is why on this page especially, you have an extra layer of discount that you get to enjoy if you make your decision in the next 48 hours. Now, for the people who have made the decision, who have already joined Unleashed, congratulations. We are excited to see you in the membership area, but before you go there, we have a special exercise for you. Christine, you were telling us about the special exercise that people should do before they go into the membership area.
Can I say one thing about investing in ourselves, though, first?
Sure.
Okay. So I just want to share one thing about something that's also been critical to my success, which is investing in myself and my own training. More than I've spent on hacking Facebook ads or marketing courses or learning how to write copy or whatever. It has been investing in the training that has made me grow as a coach and grow as a human being. I've spent well over 6 figures on that. And it's the best investment I've ever made. It's moved the needle on my business more than any of like the markety tactical stuff, which is why I'm so honored and happy that we're doing this together to really, really teach people how to become masterful at what they do. And you are your own best investment. I believe that 100%.
Thank you for acknowledging that. I know that's also been one of my greatest investments, is to just keep investing in myself. The more I grow, everything else, be it my life, be it my health, be it my spirituality, be it my business, everything grows. So I'm so honored to share the same feeling with you. Now let's go into the exercise, the special exercise that you talked about for the customers of Unleashed that are still on the call, to kind of get them started even before they go into the membership area.
Yeah, super simple but powerful exercise. I like simple but powerful. You can use this for yourself, and then this is something you can take into your coaching practice. So we've all heard that keeping momentum is so important in life. An object that is in motion stays in motion, right? So we want to continue having momentum. We want to continue taking steps forward. But as much as we know this intellectually, oftentimes we aren't doing it. Like, we feel really stuck. We feel like we're doing things, but it's just not moving things forward. And that is often because we have competing intentions. It's almost like getting in your car and putting one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake and expecting to go somewhere. You're not going to go anywhere fast. So the exercise that I love people to do is to really identify where you have competing intentions, where you have one foot on the gas, and that feels really good, but you're pumping the brakes as well. So maybe think of 5 things that are like you have your foot on the gas about, that are green light things that you really want to move towards, things that are goals: making more money, enrolling more clients, moving to a new city, whatever it may be. We'll just use those 3 things. But then, where do you have your foot on the brake? Where is there a belief system around, I don't feel confident, or I'm not worth it, or I'm scared, or maybe it's excuses that you have of, it's too soon to move, or I haven't been a coach long enough to enroll new clients, or I can't ask for that much. I'm the only one in my industry who would. So look at where you have one foot on the gas and one foot on, make a list of, okay, these are the things I want to move forward with, but then be really honest with yourself of where you're putting your foot on the brake in terms of a limiting belief or a fear or an excuse or a justification. Because once you identify where you're in that stop-start pattern, you can start to eliminate where you have your foot on the brake and generate that momentum.
That's amazing. So I'd love for you to actually go ahead and do that exercise as we're finishing off this training, is to go ahead and see where are those competing intentions for you right now. And as you'll go into the program, those intentions will also clear out, and you will have much more easier path to picking which intention to go with first. So thank you very much, Christine. On that note, I wanna close off this wonderful training, wonderful experience that our clients get to have with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. This has been so fun. Thank all of you for watching and learning, and for being coaches. Like, thank you for transforming the world together, because it's definitely an exciting time where transformation is not only what people are craving, but it's so exciting. The world of possibility is so exciting.
It is. Thank you very much again, and thank you very much for joining us on this online training. We'll see you inside Unleashed.
I'm Danielle, and I am here today for Christine Hassler's Mastermind. I can't say enough about it. I wish it would be the whole weekend. I was able to sit in the hot seat with Christine, get a lot of one-on-one time with both Christine and Jill. Really am coming away with a lot of self-insight for furthering my personal life and my business life and my family life, and just growth, overall growth. For my business, this day meant that there's infinite possibilities to figure out what I need to figure out, because I figured out I'm so resourceful. I knew that I always was, but I think it kind of gets lost along the way when you start piling on life and life stuff. So Christine and Jill just kind of have this way of finding what's underneath pretty quickly. So even in a day, you're getting what is underneath, what may be blocking you that you didn't even realize was blocking you.